Before the noise, before the battle passes, before the daily logins, before our online games started to feel like a second job. It was an era of pure, unadulterated chaos, a time when games were built for one purpose: to be fun. And at the center of this forgotten age was a game that was beautiful. It was a beautiful, broken thing, a game that, for many of us, was a masterclass in that lost art. This is an elegy for combat arms.
Hey guys, this is Undercover Dudes all the way from Down Under with the Combat Arms Top 5 Plays of the Week.
Stop f***ing around! You know how we take care of nade spammers and combat arms? With guns.
For those who weren't there, it's hard to describe the late 2000s free-to-play scene. It was a digital frontier, a wild west, and in its landscape, Combat Arms was never the prettiest, nor the most polished. But it had a soul. It was a free-to-play shooter that shattered the greatest barrier of all, the price. You didn't have to beg your parents. You and your friends could simply just download it and fall in. Its genius was in its accessibility. The gameplay was a study in simple elegance. The mechanics were an open door for the casual. But the skill ceiling reached to the heavens, a worthy climb for the dedicated. Progress was a currency on its own, measured not in battle pass tiers, but in the slow, earned climb of military ranks. You began as a mere trainee, but with every kill, every match you ascended. The next rank always felt just beyond your grasp, a siren's call, pulling you back in for just one more game. And what games they were. The variety was its lifeblood. There was a glorious, beautiful chaos of elimination. 2 teams, a kill count, and the sweet promise of endless respawns. It was a glorious meat grinder, a ballet of death and rebirth, where you would learn the maps and test your steel without punishment. It was action, it was pure and unfiltered. But there were other worlds to inhabit within this game. The strategic dance of capture the flag, the brutal theater of one-man army, the heart-stopping tension of Elimination Pro, where a single death was a final curtain. All of this was built on a foundation of customization that felt revolutionary. Play itself was the currency. We earned GP, gear points, for every moment spent in the fray. With them, we built an arsenal that was ours. A scope on an M4, a silencer on a pistol. Each modification was a brushstroke on a personal canvas. It was a system that rewarded time, not treasure. But the true beating heart of combat arms, the very thing modern gaming seems to have forgotten, was the lobby. There was no invisible algorithmic hand guiding you into a perfect match. You chose your server. You entered a channel. You saw a list of rooms, each a door to a different world. You'll see titles like Sniper Only, Noobs Will Be Kicked, or Pistols Only on Junkfleet. It was less a server browser and more a digital town square. You learned names, you forged rivalries, you found friends. And presiding over each world was the room moderator, a temporary king in a digital kingdom who set the laws of engagement, who curated the chaos. This player-driven world meant the community was the creator, constantly inventing bizarre, brilliant ways to play. Knife fights on a map the size of a closet, the power was ours. It became an ecosystem of endless, hilarious invention. It was a social space, a digital hangout, where the conversation just happened to be gunfire. A small but significant wall in a world that was moving on. And the community, once its brightest star, began to reveal its shadow. The glorious system of player kings? Well, it also bred petty tyrants who would cast out anyone whose skill eclipsed their own. And then the hackers arrived. First a trickle, but then a flood, poisoning the well of competition. Wall hacks, aimbots, speed hacks, a plague that turned every match into a frustrating mirage. For a game that was free, the cost of cheating was nothing. making the problem feel like an incurable disease. Then, the soul of its economy began to warp. While it never fully surrendered to the pay-to-win abyss, the arrival of powerful gear locked behind a paywall began to tilt the world off of its axis. The sacred line between dedication and dollars began to blur. The pride of earning your arsenal was slowly being eroded by the quiet temptation to simply buy it. It was a subtle corruption at first, but it ate away at the foundation of trust. The very architect of the economy became a cage. The ritual of finding a game server, channel, lobby, room felt ancient as the industry sprinted towards automated matchmaking. What was once a journey now felt more like a chore. The game was a paradox. Its old soul was its greatest charm, but it also became an anchor, holding it fast as the world sailed on without it. The community itself eventually fractured, torn between a classic version for the purist and a reloaded version for the modernist, splitting a kingdom that was already shrinking. So where is Combat Arms now? The game still breathes in the form of Combat Arms Reloaded. There are servers still spinning, small pockets of faithful keeping a candle lit, but it's a ghost, a whisper of what it once was. Forum posts and Reddit threads tell a familiar, somber story. Low player counts, a desperate lean to pay to win, and the community scattered like seeds in the wind. The once bustling metropolis is now a ghost town, and this leads us to the heart of the elegy. What was truly lost? What piece of ourselves did we leave behind in those digital halls? It wasn't just a single game, it was a way of thinking. We lost the beautiful, untamed, player-driven chaos of the server lobby. Modern matchmaking is a marvel of efficiency, but it is a sterile one. We are no longer people looking for a place to belong. We are data points, sorted by an invisible, indifferent hand. We are pushed into perfectly balanced, algorithmically approved arenas, but we lose the chance to stumble into a knives-only lobby and make a dozen new friends. We're lost in the art of casual connection. The clans were there for those who wanted to commit, but the lobbies were for everyone. We could drop in for like 30 minutes of mindless joy and feel no pressure to join a Discord, to grind a pass, to return tomorrow. The game respected your time in a way that the modern live service often does not. Could that old soul find a home in the new world? In its original form? It seems unlikely. The expectations have changed. The hunger for graphical fidelity and instant gratification is immense. The free-to-play landscape is ruled by titans like Valorant, like Call of Duty, not Call of Duty, but like Apex Legends, with budgets that would swallow the old Combat Arms whole. The idea of player-run rooms at scale seemed like a fantasy in an age of professional moderation and industrial-grade anti-cheat. But its spirit, the idea of Combat Arms, that's timeless. The core of accessible, skill-based combat inside a social, customizable world, perhaps a spiritual successor could find its footing, not by challenging the giants, but by embracing its own small, fierce heart. A game that wears its retro aesthetic as a badge of honor. One that reimagines the lobby for a new age, and that builds an entire model around serving the community, not mining. My memory of Combat Arms is not one of software. It's a memory of a time, a place, a feeling. It's the echo of dial-up tones yielding to broadband, the glow of a monitor in a dark room, the shape of friendships forged in the fires of the digital trenches. It was more than the sum of its parts. It was a community, a hangout, a battlefield. It was flawed, yes, but beautifully. And it was, above all else, fun. A pure, simple, chaotic kind of fun that feels so much harder to find in the polished, perfect, and predictable landscapes of today. It's a testament to the experience that people are still, all these years later, trying to recapture that feeling. And it makes you wonder, in our endless quest to make games bigger, better, more profitable, have we forgotten the simple art of having fun? Anyway, what was your favorite memory from the golden age of online shooters? Let me know in the comments. What made the era so special to you? And if you enjoyed this journey into the past, consider liking and subscribing for more games, so we can talk about more games that we loved and lost. And finally, I have to ask, which games of the 2000s stole the most hours of your life? Thanks for watching. Peace.